The narrative begins with the image of Archie lying in a hospital bed, wounded not only in body, but deeply in pride. Around him, his family and acquaintances try to explain the difference between medication and narcotics, attempting to soothe his embarrassment. Archie insists that he is no addict, clinging fiercely to the belief that he remains in control of his own life, even as bottles and pills tell a quieter truth. Edith, gentle in tone but firm in loyalty, promises the doctor says he may leave soon. She rubs his shoulder softly, trying to comfort him. Archie confesses that the shame of his situation crushes him more than any physical pain. In a surprisingly vulnerable moment, he mutters that perhaps she should have married someone more successful. Edith refuses to accept such self-deprecation, insisting love is unconditional. Their dialogue establishes decades of shared struggle and a marriage held together by patience rather than perfection. Once home, Archie finds himself immobilized by self-doubt. The collapse of his bar business weighs heavily on him. Manuel, shaking with worry, explains that during Archie's absence, customers took furniture, billiard tables, and even the piano. Bills piled high, and the telephone was cut off. Archie stares hauntingly at the empty spaces where the fixtures once stood. He calls himself worthless, born under a bad star. Edith begs him to talk instead of hiding under the blankets. He snaps, sinking deeper into depression, threatening to stay in bed for 20 years like a tragic folktale. The family gathers, offering goulash jokes, songs, desperate attempts to preserve cheer. Yet Archie's stubborn silence becomes a dark cloud no one can break through. Their last hope is Harry, an old colleague with steady clientele. With great reluctance, Harry visits. Archie refuses eye contact, growling cold refusals. Hurt, Harry turns to leave when Edith pleads that Archie needs a partner, not a rival. Archie erupts, insisting that closeness invites betrayal, but loneliness gnaws at him. As Harry walks toward the door, Archie mutters a hesitant apology. Negotiation follows a chaotic dance of numbers where pride dictates percentages. Archie demands more control, Harry counters calmly. Eventually they settle as partners. The moment marks a turning point for all of Archie's chest beating. He is terrified of standing alone. Days later, a blackout plunges the city into darkness. The family scrambles, huddled around candles and refrigerator lights. Cheesecake sits precariously in the dim glow, threatening to spoil. Archie arrives, irritated, annoyed to find his bed occupied by anxious guests. Discussion erupts about looters and shortages. Archie blames them, a vague stand-in for marginalized groups sweeping entire populations into stereotypes. Mike counters, explaining that economic desperation drives theft, not genetics or ethnicity. Their debate ignites flames of tension, two Americas colliding over dinner, one rooted in fear, the other in empathy. The blackout becomes symbolic, revealing truths normally hidden by the artificial light of routine. Archie proudly admits how he exploited blackout panic to overcharge taxi riders. Mike calls it immoral profiteering. Archie claims survival requires cunning. Their argument escalates into a swirling study of power, privilege, and fear, while sirens echo outside the living room becomes a battlefield of ideology. And yet, as quickly as the lights flicker back on, laughter disarms tension. Neighbors wander home, awkwardly muttering goodbyes into the night. But beneath the humor is dread, how easily society dances at the edge of chaos. Soon after, Archie meets Gordy Lloyd and a secretive civic organization calling themselves Crusaders for Law and Order. They compliment his opinions on crime, praising his conservative stances. The invitation feels flattering, stroking Archie's craving for respect. Desperate to feel important, he accepts. In the initiation interview, euphemisms mask bigotry. Questions probe his views on supremacy, religion, and patriotism. Archie laughs nervously, not fully understanding the implications. Ritualistic pledges seal his acceptance. He leaves feeling proud until realization dawns. These men are extremists. Mike publishes an editorial condemning systemic injustice. The Crusaders read it furiously and planned to burn crosses in multiple neighborhoods as intimidation. One will be placed in front of Mike's house. The family shatters. Gloria's hands shake violently. She clutches her infant, imagining flames licking the cradle. Edith begs Archie to stop them. Archie stands frozen between legacy and consequence, realizing his signature gave hateful men legitimacy. He confronts the Crusader leader, voice quivering. He demands they leave his family alone. They laugh, describing the ceremony and bragging about previous burns. In a flash of brilliance or desperation, Archie weaponizes shame. He reminds them he once received a life-saving blood transfusion, possibly from black donors. Their faces twist with disgust. He threatens revenge from imaginary black brothers. Terrified, the Crusaders retreat. Archie walks home, sweat dripping, knees weak. Inside, the baby cries. Gloria asks tremblingly if they are safe now. Archie cannot answer. Instead, he whispers that he needs to think. Quiet descends like snowfall. The family watches silently as the man they fear and love steps outside and closes the door behind him. Flashback shifts lighten the heaviness. In earlier years, teenage Gloria and her friend Debbie gossip about boys while their parents visit a dying relative. Debbie calls two college boys to the house. When they arrive, awkwardness floods the room. One boy's beard confuses Gloria. They stumble through knock-knock jokes, hair compliments, nervous laughter. Disco lights from the street reflect faintly on their faces. Gloria and Mike dance clumsily yet sweetly, imagining themselves Fred Astaire and Ginger Rogers. Teen hormones whirl, but innocence remains. The promise of temptation fades gently into goodnight greetings, doors closing softly. The next day, Debbie exaggerates, claiming wild adventure, but the truth was mild. The flashback reminds viewers that ideology isn't inherited. Experiences shape identity. Back in the present, sweet marmalade fills jars. Edith prepares jars for neighbors, believing gifts mend tensions. As she spreads fruit over toast, she confides that her dying aunt smiled upon tasting it. The story illustrates how food anchors memories, a quiet gesture of love. Money flows again at the bar. Harry introduces new drink specials. Archie makes playful jokes with customers sliding beers across the counter. He even adds a new coat of paint, sweeping floors with added pride. Slowly, community returns. The missing piano remains a ghost, though Archie hums in its place. Yet fear remains unspoken in quiet corners. Rumor spreads of rallies held at night. Posters vanish from walls. Some neighbors whisper about outsiders who moved in recently. Fear and suspicion, once quiet thoughts, now permeate conversation. Gloria grows restless, stuffing diapers in drawers, washing baby clothes aggressively. Mike writes furious new letters pushing editors to publish. Archie scolds him, warning that extremists are dangerous. Mike counters that silence is worse. They argue again, but this argument lacks hatred. It's fear speaking, not ego. One afternoon, Archie encounters a stranger in the street. The man congratulates him for joining the right side. Archie freezes cheeks, reddening. He mutters refusal. The man smirks knowingly and disappears into traffic. Archie's knees shake. He realizes lines have been crossed by accident, recklessness, and pride. At dinner, Edith softly tells Archie that she never judged him for being wrong, only for refusing to grow. He stares at his plate, fork suspended. He whispers that he feels adrift. Edith slides her hand over his. She says change begins with listening. Archie swallows hard. Other families react differently. Some quietly pack suitcases, planning to leave town. A mother refuses to let her children play outside. A father installs new locks. Whispers thicken in grocery aisles. Archie sees his community fracturing like glass shattering without sound. One night, sirens return. A cross burns blocks away. Red smoke spills into sky like spilled ink. Gloria clutches her baby. Mike stands guard at the window with a frying pan as his only weapon. Archie sits motionless, jaw clenched, listening to distant shouts. No one sleeps. The next morning, Archie attends a town meeting. Angry citizens flood the hall. Some call for revenge. Others demand police intervention. When a terrified mother asks how to raise children among hate, the room goes silent. Archie rises, slowly, voice shaking. He tells them that fear is a parasite that turns neighbors into threats. He warns that crosses burn more than lawns, they burn bridges between people. Audience members stare shocked at his vulnerability. Slowly, applause blooms. Later, Archie returns to the bar. He and Harry toast quietly. Harry jokes that Archie finally said something smart. Archie grimaces but smiles. They pour another round and laugh softly. Eventually, tension subsides. The Crusader group dissolves under pressure. Families breathe again. Leaves begin to fall outside, crisp and orange. Children jump into piles without fear. In the final scenes, Edith spreads marmalade on toast while Archie reads the newspaper in silence. He occasionally murmurs approval at an editorial praising unity. Mike holds his child, gently pointing at photographs in the paper teaching kindness. Gloria relaxes, sipping tea calmly. Archie brushes crumbs off his lap. He notices a smear of marmalade and laughs gruffly. Edith wipes it gently. He looks at her grateful in ways words can never hold. For the first time in a long while, Archie allows himself to be proud, not of dominance, but of growth. Autumn settles gently across the neighborhood like a soft quilt, the cooler breeze, carrying the scent of fallen leaves and distant chimney smoke. Archie's bar thrives steadily through the changing season. Regulars return to their seats, laughing loudly about old memories as glasses clink. The piano remains missing, but Archie has replaced its absence with a jukebox that plays classic tunes. Patrons lean against the polished counter, nodding along to nostalgic melodies. Archie's pride grows with each satisfied customer, but beneath it flickers a quiet anxiety fear that everything he rebuilds could crumble again without warning. At home, Gloria's smile grows brighter with each safe week. She decorates the baby's room with soft blues and yellows, hanging tiny stars from the ceiling. Mike watches lovingly, occasionally offering to help, but mostly just admiring her dedication. Edith, meanwhile, prepares fresh marmalade for the neighbors as a peace offering. It tastes of citrus and optimism. She fills jars, tying ribbons around each lid. Archie grumbles about the expense of sugar, but she smiles knowingly. An intangible network of kindness is worth every penny. On Sunday morning, the family attends a small community gathering in the park. Children run along the grass while parents socialize cautiously. A local musician plays a gentle tune on a guitar, turning the grassy hill into a stage. Archie stands near the back hands in pockets, observing with a guarded expression. Several neighbors nod politely to him, but a few avert their eyes, remembering the cross-burning rumors. Mike introduces Archie to a friend from his university. The handshake is awkward. Archie mumbles a greeting while the friend studies him skeptically. Embarrassment blooms across Archie's face. He walks away softly, pretending to adjust his shoe. Later that afternoon, a group of teenagers passes the house laughing loudly. Their coats are patched with political symbols and slogans Archie cannot understand. He watches them curiously, wondering if the world really changed this quickly or if he simply blinked for too long. Edith reminds him that every generation frightens the one before it. He scowls, but her words resonate deep inside, gnawing at ideas he once considered permanent. Evenings become peaceful again. Archie sits in his favorite chair, the rhythm of a baseball game murmuring from the television. He dozes off occasionally. Edith knits quietly nearby, the steady clicking of needles soothing a house that once trembled with fear. Gloria reads aloud to the baby, her voice melodic and warm. Mike studies his book, scribbling notes, muttering occasionally about economic theories and social structures. At first, Archie scoffs, calling it intellectual mumbo-jumbo, but eventually he begins to listen. Some concepts confuse him, others infuriate him, but slowly, very slowly, he begins to see that disagreement does not require hatred. One afternoon, while sweeping the bar, Archie overhears two patrons discussing the Crusader group that once tried to recruit him. They laugh about how ridiculous their robes look. Archie winces, remembering the cryptic rituals and whispered racism. Shame settles in his stomach like a heavy stone. He wipes the counter aggressively, pretending not to hear. Harry notices, whispering gently, that everyone makes mistakes, but Archie replies curtly, "Some mistakes burn brighter." Harry nods silently, understanding, without pressing further. Weeks pass peacefully until a letter arrives addressed to Mike. Its envelope is thick, official-looking. When opened, it contains an invitation to speak at a local community college about his published editorials. Mike beams with pride. Gloria hugs him tightly. Edith claps joyfully, promising to bake cookies for the occasion. But Archie feels an unexpected sting envy, tangled with admiration. He realizes Mike's voice has gained power that cannot be silenced by bluster or fear. He pats Mike's back, muttering that he better not embarrass the family. Mike grins, knowing this is Archie's way of saying he's proud. At the college, students listen intently as Mike speaks passionately about social responsibility. Afterward, a young man approaches him, explaining that his own father joined an extremist group recently and he doesn't know how to cope. Mike advises him to stay patient, to focus on conversation rather than condemnation. From across the hallway, Archie watches, silently impressed by the empathy his son-in-law expresses. Later on the drive home, Archie avoids eye contact, but quietly admits that Mike did well. Mike smiles, hearing admiration hidden between grunts. Time continues softening tensions. One crisp morning, Archie sits at the breakfast table reading the newspaper. He notices a small article about the arrest of several Crusader members involved in vandalism. Relief washes over him. He whispers a silent prayer. Edith watches, smiling softly. She knows he is too proud to celebrate aloud, but she can see the burden lifting from his shoulders. Around the same time, Gloria begins volunteering at a local daycare. Seeing children laugh without fear reminds her how fragile innocence can be. She returns home each evening, tired but fulfilled, hugging her baby tighter than before. The baby babbles new words, giggling uncontrollably when Archie makes silly faces. Despite his grumpy demeanor, Archie loves making the child laugh. Sometimes he hides behind newspaper pages before peeking out, suddenly causing shrieks of delight. Edith watches, lovingly noting how even the hardest hearts soften around grandchildren. One rainy afternoon, a knock echoes through the house. Archie opens the door to see Harry drenched and nervous. He explains that someone vandalized the bar's back door with hateful graffiti. Archie's anger rises like steam. Without hesitation, he grabs his coat and stomps outside. In the pouring rain, he scrubs the graffiti off himself, refusing Harry's help. Neighbors gather under umbrellas, watching silent. As Archie kneels in the mud, washing away hatred with his bare hands, something extraordinary happens. A few neighbors step forward and begin helping. Some bring soap and brushes. Others stand in solidarity. Together, they erase the filth. When they finish, soaked to the bone, Archie looks around. For the first time, he feels the warmth of community, not rooted in fear, but in collective resilience. Harry claps his shoulder, whispering, "Looks like you finally found your side." Archie nods slowly. Later that night, seated at the dinner table, Archie remains quiet. Edith senses his reflection. She pours him a cup of warm tea. He finally speaks, voice low. "People showed up today." Edith replies simply, "Because you showed up first." He smiles faintly at the wisdom. In the following weeks, Archie organizes a fundraiser at the bar to repaint public spaces vandalized by hate groups. Dozens attend. Children doodle colorful chalk designs on the sidewalk. Elderly neighbors donate homemade cookies. Activists and police officers share tables peacefully. The jukebox plays classic tunes, uplifting enough to make even the shyest guests sway. As donations pour in, Archie raises his glass, thanking everyone. He stumbles over his words, unfamiliar with public vulnerability. But the applause that follows wraps around him like a warm blanket. As winter approaches, snow dusts the rooftops. Icicles hang like glittering ornaments from window ledges. Gloria bundles the baby in soft wool blankets. Mike sets up a small reading corner by the fireplace. Edith bakes cookies shaped like stars and moons. Archie hauls firewood from the backyard, grumbling about his back, but secretly enjoying the tradition. During one stormy night, the power flickers. Fear momentarily flashes across everyone's eyes. Memories of past blackouts and hateful threats lurk in the corners of the room. But this time, laughter rises instead. Archie lights candles, telling a silly story about his father accidentally setting his pants on fire when lighting a cigar. Everyone laughs so hard, tears form. Fear dissolves into family warmth. In the final scene of this long chapter, Archie and Edith sit by the window, watching snowflakes drift silently onto the street. He places his hand over hers gently. He murmurs that he still struggles. Prejudices do not disappear overnight. Edith nods. She tells him growth is not an ending, but a direction. He sighs, agreeing quietly. Downstairs, the bar sign glows softly through the snow-filled night. Its warm light reflects off the icy pavement like a beacon. People pass by, noticing the glow, feeling comforted by it. Archie's bar, once nearly lost, has become something more than a business, a place of gathering, of second chances, of community healing itself, one evening at a time.